everybody? It is I, the Nomad, coming to you live from the wastelands of the internet. And yes, we're just doing a few shorts, more or less, today. And we are going to start with this one. Starmer's labor suffers huge losses, all right, as hard right reform gains in UK elections. Excuse me, how is hard right reform even accurate? NBC News, and let's see who wrote this piece of nonsense. Alexander Smith. Mr. Alexander Smith, please explain to me how reform is hard right. Excuse me, not hard right. Right. How is it right wing or even on the right? You say hard right? It's not even right. It's a nationalist movement, granted. But that doesn't make it part of the right. It's not conservative in any way, shape, or form, Mr. Smith. What the heck? London. Early results from nationwide elections in Britain suggested a historic drubbing for the Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour Party and sweeping gains for hard right reform UK, led by Trump ally Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage is not a quote-unquote Trump ally. He's not a deranged loon, okay? But that doesn't make him a Trump ally. Where do you people come off even making these kinds of comments? Though many results were still coming in Friday morning, the overall picture will heap pressure on Starmer, an unpopular leader beset by speculation his colleagues may move against him. The results are tough. They are very tough. There's no sugarcoating it, Starmer said Friday, but he dismissed calls for him to stand down. Tough days like these don't weaken my resolve to deliver the change that I promised to myself. Though he acknowledged voters were clearly unhappy about the pace of change that Labour delivered. No, they're not unhappy about the pace of change. They're unhappy about what the change is, which is put us back under the thumb of the EU. They're not worried about how fast you're trying to do it. They're upset that you're doing it at all. Where's this guy? Alexander Luddy, can you have any less honesty in your reporting, sir? Can you have any less honesty? You basically are a mouthpiece for the Labour Party and Keir Starmer. Just how far up your ass is his elbow? Are you at the shoulder yet, Alex? I'm just curious. Oh my God. Oh. Labour's losses and Reform's gains were no surprise. Polls had a long telegraphed the direction of travel just 2 years after Starmer led Labour to power in a 2024 landslide. However, with votes still being counted, the scale of Labour's losses appeared epic. Reform won hundreds of local council seats in working class areas in England's north, wiping the ruling party out of places like Hartlepool that were once solid Labour turf. Farage called it a truly historic shift in British politics, and that Labour was being wiped out by Reform in many of their traditional areas. Seen as a barometer of public anger, the Prime Minister's name itself was not on the ballot. Instead, Britons voted in more than 5,000 local government elections in England, a handful of mayoral contests around London, and votes for the Welsh and Scottish parliaments, devolved legislatures with powers over transport, health, and other areas. Many of those votes were still being counted Friday, but the partial results pointed a clear break with long-standing dominance of Britain's two establishment parties. And that is the big issue. Okay? Conservatives are in a lot of trouble here. Everyone's talking about the Labor being in trouble. Labor, and I'm not saying that Labor isn't. The Conservative Party is in a lot of trouble as well. And the reason is simple. If people look at the difference between Labor and the Conservatives, there isn't a frickin' dime's worth of difference. And people notice this. The last few supposed conservatives, all right, acted like Labor. Prime ministers, I'm the one I'm talking about. They were acting like Labor. Of course, it was moderate Labor, but it was still Labor agendas. They weren't trying to stop immigration. They weren't trying to stop the destruction of what they're doing with the police, where the police are invading everywhere they can, where they're cracking down on freedom of speech, where they themselves become the judge, jury, and executioner of what is the quote-unquote hate crime. They see the chaos in the streets. They see the murders are rising left and right in the place where there's no gun, no guns. People are dying by knife attacks. And the government is acting like, well, we don't know what they're doing. It isn't us. It is you. It's the bureaucrats. No, I realize that this is a major churn, but when your politicians act, who are supposed to be whether the opposition or the party in power, act the same, this is the result. This is the rise of a third power, and the power is what makes them different is they're Britain first. They're MABA. Make Britain great again. That's what they are. And that's the problem. Thanks for coming out, everybody. I hope you have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.